Hey guys, and welcome back to Morgs Menu. So today is going to be another quarantine baking video. I haven't done as much baking recently, but I found a recipe for some cupcakes that I wanted to try. So these are actually going to be Guinness cupcakes with Bailey's frosting. I'm really excited for this. I saw a couple different recipes and kind of picked out the one that just seemed to make the most sense. Didn't have super complicated ingredients. I didn't have to buy a ton other than like the Guinness and the Bailey's. Now, full disclosure, unfortunately, because of how everything is set up right now, the liquor store that we go to that's near my apartment is doing curbside pickup only. And so you have to order everything on their website beforehand, and the website only listed Bailey's in the like almond milk version, and I just was scared that that was not going to taste good and not be good in the recipes. So what I did instead is ordered WENDY'S Irish liquor. I'm not a big like connoisseur of Bailey's versus Brady's, so I don't think, I mean, generally in concept it is the same thing. Maybe it's different. I'm sure my best friend Beth, who likes Bailey's a lot in her coffee, especially during football season, she will tell me if it's very different, but hopefully in general it'll get the same taste. We're not going to be using a ton of this anyways, kind of just to bring a little bit of flavor into the icing, so hopefully everything will still taste the same. But I'll go ahead and show you how to do the recipe. So as you guys know, I am not a big baker, so I'm just going to be following this exact recipe. I'll link it down below. The only thing I might change a little bit is it does call for quite a bit of powdered sugar in the icing, and just from my experience, especially doing like the homemade cinnamon rolls that I've showed you guys that I made with my sister, I found that sometimes the amount of powdered sugar in a recipe for icing is like way too sweet. So what I may do is just like put a little bit extra of this and a little bit less powdered sugar, but we'll see kind of how the consistency comes out anyway. So let's go ahead and go over the ingredients, and then I'll show you how we pull everything together. Alright, I'll start us off with the cupcake ingredients that we're going to need. So first off, what you need to do is go ahead and preheat your oven to 350 degrees, which is what I did here. So for the actual cupcakes themselves, you're going to need 1/3 cup of cocoa powder, 1 cup of regular granulated sugar, also 1 cup of flour, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 6 ounces of Guinness, 1/4 cup of melted butter, 1/2 tablespoon of vanilla extract, 1 egg, and lastly, 1/4 cup of sour cream. The icing itself is very simple. For that, you're just going to need, again, it calls for 4 cups of powdered sugar, but we'll see, we may only do like 3. 6 tablespoons of Irish cream, and 1/2 cup of butter. Now for the tools that you're going to need, just generally like normal in baking, you're going to need some different sizes of mixing bowls, measuring cups and measuring spoons, a hand mixer or a KitchenAid if you happen to have one, some cupcake tins, as well as a cupcake or muffin pan. This recipe says it will make 12, so it'll fit perfectly in this single pan. So basically all you have to do is put all the ingredients together. So I'll show you exactly how everything comes together and what the texture is going to look like. We're then going to bake them in our oven, like I said, at 350 degrees for about 20 to 25 minutes. You can check it as I've shown before with a toothpick, and I'll show you exactly how I do that. If the toothpick comes out clean, you can go ahead and pull it out of the oven. I then suggest you leaving it in the pan for about 5 minutes and then remove it from the pan onto a cooling rack, so we'll do that. Then once they've mostly cooled, we'll go ahead and ice them. And then for the icing, you're just gonna be mixing everything together. It does suggest that you do a cup of powdered sugar at a time until you get the consistency that you want. So we'll definitely do that and see kind of where I wanna stop as far as the amount of powdered sugar that we use. So as you guys know, if you've seen any of my baking videos before where I've used icing, I don't have like full-on piping bag or anything like that. So to make these look a little bit prettier, what I'm probably going to do is just put the icing into a Ziploc bag and cut off the corner and just kind of swirl them around. So we'll see how it turns out. Let's go ahead and get to mixing. Alright, so it's now been a couple days since I actually baked the cupcakes. I just wanted to give it a couple days to fully review the cupcakes and the recipe and see how they were, not only on the day that I baked them, but also a couple days later. And overall, the recipe gets 2 big thumbs up. I really, really liked it. It was really fun. Tasted delicious. Now, obviously, you saw in the little clip that I did mess up the icing, which honestly is 1000% my fault. It wasn't the recipe's fault at all. So as I mentioned, when I was preparing to bake it, I wasn't sure if I was going to use the same amount of powdered sugar that it recommended, and I think that was a downfall for me. The recipe called for 4 cups, and I had basically a little bit left over in one package of confectioner's sugar and a brand new package, and I decided not to open the brand new one, just use what was in the remaining one, which was just slightly over 2 cups. I tasted the icing when I did that, and it was really good, so I was like, okay, that's enough. I didn't even really pay attention to the consistency of the icing until I was squeezing it out of the bag, and it was too late at that point. But the icing was really good. It was barely sweet at all, so you definitely could do at least 3 cups, if not 4 cups, especially combining it with a Guinness cupcake. With the slight Guinness flavor in the cupcakes, they weren't super sweet anyway, so you definitely could have gotten away with a much sweeter icing. So probably using just the straight 4 cups that the recipe actually recommended would have been fine. So just follow the recipe and don't do what I did, and it would be much better. I also think maybe I would have mixed up the icing with a whisk or like a spoon and just hand mixed rather than using my mixer, because I think that may have overmixed the icing and made it a little bit runny as well. So I would say just for the icing part, don't try and overcomplicate it. Do what the recipe says, mix it with a whisk, and it'll come out much better and much more of an icing texture. But honestly, it still turned out really good. One thought that I had kind of when dealing with the runny icing is, had I made that into more of like a poke cake, where it kind of has like the holes in it and you pour the icing over, that texture of that icing would have been really good. So if you wanted to make this into a cake and you do it that way, I think that would be really good. But if you wanted to do standard cupcakes, just use the right amount of sugar and you'll be totally fine. But I definitely recommend the recipe, especially if, you know, you get asked to bring a dessert to, you know, some sort of house party or something. Obviously if it's adults, it'd be much more fun to bring Guinness cupcakes with Bailey's or whatever I ended up using icing versus just bringing, you know, boxed chocolate cupcakes. It just sounds more fun. It sounds like you did a lot more work, but really you didn't, because you just kind of mixed things together and added 2 new special ingredients. So I definitely recommend it, and I definitely will be making it again, just altering the icing. So hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions on the recipe or have any ideas for recipes for me to do in the future, make sure you leave those in comments down below. If you're new here and haven't yet subscribed, make sure you go and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the videos that I post on Wednesdays and Sundays. Thanks again for watching Morgs Menu, and I hope you have a great day. Bye, guys.